Hello everyone and welcome back to Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. Prowler only. Last time we took on one of our last deviants, Joltusk Tetsukabra, and this time we will be taking on the final one, the big bad flagship, if I can get over to the quest counter, Bloodbath Diablos. We're going to go ahead and try to speed through this EX dialogue. Not a terrible hunt, it's a very fun monster, and I'll get into that when we actually hunt it, but it has us hunting to an Ingle Isle. I do have the Amatsu weapon as opposed to the Soul Seer Mizutsune weapon, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Alright, big bad Bloodbath. He is a somewhat glass cannon, honestly, and the reason we're using the what would be considered somewhat worse water weapon, it's not really that much worse compared to the Soul Seer Mizutsune weapon. It's just that Diablos has a very long tail, which is a better hit zone whenever you're using a cutting weapon as opposed to blunt. I believe he's also just weaker in general to cutting, so the slight loss of crit is not really going to mean that much whenever we are just having more options to actually hit good body parts here. Now, Bloodbath here is going to start off very slow, and he's going to feel very similar to a regular Diablos. He's going to charge and do stuff like that, and if you saw at the start, and I believe he did it at the start, he usually opens with it, he'll roar into a tackle. So if you are hit by it as a hunter, you either are guaranteed to get hit by it if he's aiming at you, or you have a very, very, very short period of time to actually dodge it. So I do recommend earplugs for this, though it isn't exactly needed. The ideal situation for earplugs is later on when we get into the double, where they're constantly screaming and charging and stuff like that. But for now, we're not really too worried about that. We can easily dodge it, and even when they are together, it's not the end of the world if you don't have earplugs, if you do want to go for more crit or anything like that. For now, we're just chipping away at him, trying to get our buffs up. It's, again, not too terrible. A lot of his hit zones are really nice, so we always have an option to just go for something. Even if we have to go for the wings, they're not terrible either. Obviously not the best, though. Interesting thing about this, if you do deal enough damage to the head, you can actually cut one of the horns off and carve it. You can go in under the horns, which are a bad hit zone, and hit the chin and the mouth, which still counts as a good head hit zone and also does damage to the head, so you can break the horns off and stuff. Just does a tackle there, but again, he's just very similar to regular Diablos at the start. The worst thing is just that roar tackle, which is your best friend. There are a lot of attacks he has that after he finishes, he has a very long cooldown animation, which is great for Prowlers because we have Mega Boomerang. That one of them being the Roar Charge. Roar Charge is going to be your best friend. You're going to love it every time you see it, because as long as you can consistently get out of the way of it, you're going to have an amazing opportunity for damage once it finishes. Right now he's just, again, being very slow. The tackle here. He's going to scoop up into the air. Of course, the scoop up is still a hitbox, and I believe the tail can flinch you. Now, we've done enough damage. He is in his first rage mode, and if you can kind of look around, you can see his veins are starting to glow a little bit. Not very much, though, and not very pronounced. Diablos doesn't really pronounce his rage state either. I guess the black smoke coming out of his mouth is a Diablos thing. That might be Black Diablos. But it's not really as pronounced. He doesn't have veins glowing or anything like that. So this is pretty in line with the Diablos. He's going to do his horn pokes here. He usually does it in 2 whenever he's enraged. If he's not enraged, he'll usually only do it once. Go for the tail here. Here's our favorite move. He's going to scream, so we'll get some free damage off. Dodge into the roar. That was a bit scary because I had to dodge away from it. You want to dodge into it. And then after that, he'll do a little shake off, and we'll get a free Mega Boomerang off every single time he does that. I believe that is another interesting animation. He doesn't always do that immediately after he charges. I'm not sure why he did that there. Sometimes he will just scratch the ground whenever he enrages and not roar. So it's a bit more subtle in noticing that if you want to take advantage of that, getting a Mega Boomerang off while he's enraging or something like that. Here's a tackle, he'll combo it twice. Just kind of move out of the way. If you're used to fighting Diablos and you've already had to fight this guy a few times to get up to G5, so you should have a good idea of his moveset. It's not hard, it's just something you have to learn. If you learn your positioning correctly, it's fine. You will still get caught off guard sometimes, especially if you're greedy like me, but as long as you play it patiently, you're going to have a really nice and fun time. It's definitely a back and forth. Get a good flinch there. Dodge to the right. He's going to tackle. Combos into another one. He will fake you out with a tackle sometimes, and he doesn't even have to do it after the first one. Sometimes he will just run up to you like he's tackling you and then stop and do a horn jab or something like that, throwing you off. Here comes this roar tackle again, and we do have enough for another Mega Boomerang, so we're going to go ahead and get that off. Remember, at 30% health, the other monster will spawn in, so we do want to get as many of those off and push the health bar along as much as we can. All right, he just kind of ran in the lava there. We can't really get too close to him because that's going to limit our movement, but we can actually reach him from here, so I'm fine with that. Wait for him to finish that attack, go for the tail. We'll be getting a lot of tail cuts here, thankfully. It's not like he has more than one, but there are 2 of them. All right, big greedy there too. Again, it's more greed than anything that's going to get you all up. Here comes a charge spin. I believe he can power that up later now. That's just kind of simple. He can also combo it into some other stuff, but I think we'll have to wait a little longer to see him combo it. All right, he's doing a lot of horn jabs here, so we'll just wait that out. A couple of boomerangs here. Just remember, rule of thumb, if he's looking at you, try to get into the defensive position and don't worry too much about attacking. Once you do fight him a lot, and this is one of the ones that you might want to fight a lot because it is just a very fun hunt, and you might be getting a lot of practice if you're playing online because it is a lobby killer. All right, he's gonna charge. Gonna wait. It's not even really aiming at us there. Okay, I maybe should have moved a little bit further, but that was my greed. You get a feel for it. I've hunted this guy so many times just because it's a flagship, so you know it's the go-to. Hey, do you want to fight a hard deviant? And then this is what you use. And of course, adept just makes it so trivial and so much fun. Go for the chin there since it's right in front of us. He does a scoop forward. I'm going to dodge to the right here. Wait for the horn jab. If it did hit us, we would have dodged it anyways. That's what we anticipate. A couple of boomerang series looking at us once more. We get ready to dodge. We keep going in right. I like to favor the right side, but I don't think it really actually matters. There's another one. I'm going to expect a second one. However, I did not press B in time. That was my bad. It's very well telegraphed, so I can't really complain about that. He's going to tackle here. He's going to do another combo into a poke. I believe if you are hit before he ends the little fake out charge, you will still take damage. It's not completely fake. It just depends on who he's targeting. All right, he jammed that into the ground, so we're fine. Going to go ahead and apply this. He's going to go ahead and do another war charge, so we're actually just going to soothing roll here since it's free. It's another great use of go fight win in these fights, especially later on when he starts using some AoE attacks, like now. Okay, so Bloodbath is special. He's one of the few monsters that actually has a second rage mode, and that actually activates at 50% health. So we have a much more easy tell of how much or how fast we're going here, because we'll have a 50% tell and then a 30% tell when the other one appears. Now, when he's really mad, his blood starts to boil and he is a steam bomb. So he will go underground, start charging up, and then launch out. And as soon as he lands, he will explode. Guess what? That's another attack you can actually punish pretty easily. Anytime he explodes after the steam, he is going to, or explodes after using steam, he's going to do a taunt. So that is another perfect chance for you to get a mega boomerang off. And this is where Soulseer weapon might be a little bit better in regards to actually getting gauge gain. Since you are getting a lot of chances to actually use mega boomerang, you will run low on gauge at some points. All right, he's going to spin here, so we're just going to try to dodge into it. The tail is a hitbox there, and now he's at 30% health. I'm pretty sure it's 50% health whenever he does the super rage. I'm not quite sure why this one appeared so quickly. He didn't last time for sure, so that's why I thought. But maybe it's at a different threshold. Maybe it's like at 40%, but I thought it was at, or maybe it's 35. I'm not sure. Either way, he's going to roar, do another charge. I don't actually think the other Diablos has noticed us yet. I was not looking. I was focusing too much on the other guy, so we did waste 2 bars of gauge, which is not good. First time he appeared and then saw us in my little test hunt of this, but he didn't. So we're actually going to get some leeway here to actually attack and get this guy down maybe. I'm going to try to draw him as far away as I can. I don't know how much regular the other one circles, and I did just run myself up against a wall. Should have went to where I had a little bit more space. You can dodge that pretty easily, but I started panicking. I didn't know I was up against the wall and I started meshing B. Very easy thing to not do next time, but it does do a lot of damage. That's a little cheap. So I think I've said this before, but there's a random chance that if a monster spots you, I don't know if it's like based on the level of monster, you'll just jump into the air and still be able to take damage. I think that's a bit ridiculous. You don't ever see it and you don't expect it to happen, but it did cost us a second acorn. That's not really the difficulty of the monster. That's just old Monster Hunter jank. I don't remember when they added that. I want to say maybe in Try. but it could also just be a 4th gen thing, which is a bit odd. But now that they've both noticed us, we are going to have to be a lot more patient. You don't want to attack the other Diablos too much, or else it will go into rage mode and will, you know, be a little bit faster. You just want to focus on your guy over here. And of course, whenever his blood starts to boil, as per something like Grimclaw Tigrex or regular Tigrex, of course, the hit zones become a lot more squishy and you'll have an easier time dealing damage to him. As long as, you know, you space it out correctly. I'm not quite... Why is he... I don't know why he's underground. I don't think I've ever seen that happen. That's a bit odd. It's throwing me off my game too. That's very weird. Another interesting thing is that this Diablos is small and the other one is large. The size thresholds for monsters, especially when there's 2 of them together, usually it's a small one and then a large one. The last hunt, we're going to go ahead and faint here. It's fine. This is just a very weird happening. I've never seen some things happen like this before. I still don't know because our cats don't have pitfall traps. So as to why that one fell into a pitfall, I have no idea, unless the one screamed while he was underground. That's probably what it is. The other Diablos did a sonic attack, and that threw him into enrage mode, which, you know, is not great. We were trying to avoid that, but we can't really control that. And I also completely forgot what I was saying before. But I'll try to be quiet here and focus, because it is just very patient. You have to be very patient here. Wait, dodge into this. All right, boomerang out. Do another one here. I did lose 2 acorns on the first hunt, but it's very similar. Just greed and not spacing correctly. He's going to go underground. I'm going to go ahead and just use the free soothing roll here. That way we can ignore any AoE attacks that he does. Unfortunately, we are low on gauge once more, but it should be fine. All right, 2 boomerangs here while he just stands there and taunts. That one's doing a tail flip, so we can actually get some more damage off. Here comes another chance. We don't like this too much, so we're going to try to dodge into the one that's attacking first to get some more iframes. Still going to try to keep my hands off of the other Diablos. That way he doesn't enrage more than he probably already has. On the bright side, by the time this one goes down, the other Diablos should be in exhaustion range. And another thing, since we're not really using Mega Boomerangs here because we don't have the opportunity to, we should have a good gauge build up for fighting the second Bloodbath. All right, here comes a tackle. Just go through that. Good. Getting caught in between these hitboxes here, so I do want to be careful. Tackle. There's a spin slam tail. Or spin tail slam. That sounds a little bit nicer. I'm going to get hit by that. That's my bad. Shouldn't have attacked. Really need to keep a gauge on what both of the Bloodbaths are doing. That way you don't, you know, do something wrong. Thankfully, the Steam doesn't augment the charge hitbox. I'm not paying attention to the second Diablos. But the Steam doesn't augment the charge hitbox. It only just does an explosion at the end. So you don't have to worry too much about that. Can't say I'm too surprised. I don't expect the commentary hunts to go better than the regular ones. But I will say that some weird things have been happening. I do need to focus a little bit more on what's actually happening with the other Diablos, though. All right, he's walking towards us. He's doing a spin. Going to use that little boost we got to move out of the way. He's going to tackle. That one's digging, so we have to keep an eye on that. Got a flinch, which is nice. This one's digging out of the ground. He's doing a charge tackle or scream tackle. Okay, good. Little greedy there, but we're fine. I was focusing on the other one too much. Shouldn't have thrown that boomerang out there, but we did get it out for free, so that's good. This one's scream tackling. This one's just tackling regularly. All right, he's done. Hopefully I get a chance here. That one's taunting. This one's kind of taunting too. That's an easy taunt attack if you have ranged weapons. If you don't, then you have to position it around it correctly. But since the tail is a good hitbox for us, we can just shoot at the tail and get a lot of damage off. All right, dodge the dig. That one's charging. He's not doing double charges yet because he's not enraged. This one is doing his steam explosion. I cannot use the Mega Boomerang, so I'm not even going to bother. Throw one up there. Just being very slow here, making sure he's not doing anything. Turn my camera away at the wrong moment, though. All right, he's exploding again. I'm going to go ahead and just soothing roll. That way I can ignore all of this and go back to attacking. He's probably going to tackle again or something. Okay, just the regular sway. Similar to Devil Joe. I'm going to go ahead and just use soothing roll to get off of this ledge. I don't want to deal with jumping off. Okay, he is doing a dig attack. Didn't think he'd appear that quickly, but I was probably too close to the initial dig spot that he didn't have to move. All right, slam into boulder toss. He's doing the scream tackle. Okay, scary, but it's fine. He'll only do one. The other Diablos do two. Into a dig, which will probably be an explosion after he lands. I'm going to try to get some distance here. I don't think he's going to explode, though, because he's not expelling steam. Yep, we're fine. I think he'll still taunt after that because it was a charging jump. Well, it's not a taunt. It is a close range, but I still consider that a taunt because we get free damage off because of that. Here comes a tackle. And again, since the monsters are larger, if the second monster is larger, it's going to be harder to dodge its attacks compared to the first one because the distance you have to cover to get out of the way of it is going to be larger. So it might throw you off a little bit. And once this first one goes down, we're home free, but until that happens, we just have to be patient. And there it goes. Okay, so first one's down. Now we can fight the second one without any interruptions at all, which will be great. We've got 5 bars of gauge. I'll probably have to refresh both boomerangs at some point, though. But that's fine. We'll punish the tail here. Keep going for that. Dodge off to the right. He's actually digging, so I'm going to sheath. Run backwards. Make him have to cover more distance. He dug up. Going to punish that. I'm going to wait and see what he does. He's just doing a tail sweep, so we can get a free buff back up. And now he's doing a scream. And you can see the saliva out of his mouth, so he is exhausted. And we're going to get a free Mega Boomerang off here. We'll get this one off. We'll wait and see if he does the exhaustion animation. He's not doing it quite yet. So we'll wait for this next attack. Should have waited on that. Dodged way too early, but it's fine. Now we can get another one off. We're using these quite a bit early on, so hopefully it doesn't mess us up too much later on. Again, we're dealing more damage whenever he is enraged, and he's still getting a lot of options for us to, or giving a lot of options for us to actually attack him with all of the good hit zones he has whenever he is just warmed up. So we are losing a little bit of damage compared to if we did it then, but I think it's fine. It's not like we're hoarding it, getting up to 9 bars of gauge and then not using it at all. All right. That was an enraged scream, so you could have gotten another Mega Boomerang off there, but it's fine. We just wanted to play it safe. Again, we've got the hunt in the bag. All we have to do is play it safe and we should be good. Scoop up. Throw 2 here. Dodge to the left. That should clear the tackle. He's doing a second one, though. It's good to always assume he's doing a second one because he usually does. All right, so I don't like this. Hopefully he doesn't target me because that might throw him off into the lava area. It does, but not too far. So we'll get this off. Go ahead and apply big boomerangs. And if he could do quite a few scream tackles or something like that, we can get a lot off because we do have Go Fight Win. I'm going to back up here. All right, there's a scoop. Go for the stomach. Stomach's also a really good hit zone. I believe the stomach is the best, but I could just be thinking of regular Diablos world. And I guess in this game too. But it's very nice. And it's also a really nice pierce monster if you're using bow guns because he's pierced, or he's very weak to pierce all the way down, I believe. He is pierced though. We've been piercing him a lot with these boomerangs. All right. There's 1. There's 2. Expect the third one. He's actually moved too far, so he's not going to do the third one. Boomerang there. There's a tackle. It was the fake out though. So we'll back up here. Good. Punish. Not really giving us a chance to use a Mega Boomerang though. We get a good flinch. Could spin here, but I'm not going to bother. There we go. The scream tackle. Dodge into it. Go ahead and throw this off. It did end at the wrong time, but it's fine. Get a lot of damage here. Get a good flinch. 2 boomerangs. Wait and see what he does. Just doing the pokes. To another one. Okay. Way too early on that dodge. He does change up the direction, and also I just, didn't take into account the tail sweep. That's why you want to position out of the way of his tail, just in case he does that, because it's a very common attack that just comes out without really much start off or start up. The startup is really the animation if you're in the right spot, but if you're in the wrong spot, you can't do much, especially during attacking. All right, careful. Dodge that. Wait and see if this is going to hit us. It won't, but we will dodge with it hitting us. That way we do get the dodge off if he aims it at us correctly. Dodge into that. That way we get the dodge off, because it's a bit of a weird hitbox too. You can't tell the exact boundaries of it, so you do just want to dodge as he hits the ground. All right, 2 boomerangs here. He's going to scream once more. That's great for us. Try to get close to him. If he does cover too much distance, then we'll have to waste all of our time bulking back up to him, so that's why we want to move with him if he's in a very large open area. Tackle. Tackle. Refresh our big boomerangs. Here it comes again. It doesn't taunt after these 2 tackles, so you don't really have much time to actually punish. Just a volley of boomerangs, and that's about it. We're assuming he's doing that again. He's not aiming at us, though, so we get some free hits off. If they land, they don't. Go for under the chin here. He's back to being enraged, so keep spinning and attacking at the face. Then a boulder slam. Couple of boomerangs here. Dodge to the right. Does the sway. Finish that very nicely. All right, here comes the pokes. 1, 2. It's probably a good idea to not dodge away from the pokes because they can, chase you, and you don't want that to happen. Go ahead and finish that scream tackle once more. He's still not quite down to 50% health, so need to be careful. And again, it might be 35% or something like that. But I always thought it was 50. Glad we got that dodge off. That was very close for comfort. All right, fake out tackle. There's the chase. You can see how far he covers with that second horn jab, so you don't just want to run away from it. It's used to punish that type of behavior. All right, keep going for the tail. Good flinch. Go 2 here. Comes the tackle once more. He'll combo it into another one. So he usually does turn to his left whenever he does that. So you don't want to move left. You want to move right. And that should catch him off guard. Well, I don't really know if it catches him off guard. He's an AI monster. All right, here comes the lunge. So since he's charging it, we're going to assume that's the one where he does the tail sweep at the end. And it is. It's very nice for us. That gives us another free chance for this. Not going to do too much. It will clip the horns. So not terribly great. However, we do get a tail cut, which is nice. All right, tail slam. The first hunt took about 28 minutes. A little under, actually. I'm sure this one will take probably 35 or something like that. It's not too terrible, honestly, especially compared to the other ones. It's a breath of fresh air. Going for this undercarriage here. It's going back to an enraged mode. Break a horn. We're going to be getting more horn breaks because we're not having to worry about another Diablos chasing us out of the way. Okay, my bad. I should have dodged into that instead of dodging away. Do go into enraged mode to actually ignore that second attack though, so that's fine. We'll dodge into this. The tail is still a hitbox, of course, so you don't want to be too close to it. I don't know. I don't think it counts as a single attack there, though. It shouldn't. So you can't actually rely on your iframes lasting long enough. Comes the scream tackle again. He's actually aiming at our Palico, so we get a free chance to just kind of close the distance and throw this out without having to worry too much about dodging it. Palicos will really help a lot here, just taking aggro off and giving you a chance to actually focus on getting maybe a Mega Boomerang out or something like that. And of course, they're just buffing your damage and defense as well, which is really nice. All right, it's going to tackle once more. Combos it. Go ahead and spin into the face here. Very surprised he's still not enraged yet, but we will see. Shouldn't take too long. Obviously, this one has more health than the first one, so it does maybe set your expectations a little bit lower when fighting that first one, but he does have more health. It's actually exhausted again, so it just shows how long we've actually been fighting him. Okay, there we go. And it might also be a weird modifier where some quests it's 50% and some quests it's less. We'll find out, because I don't think this is quite 50%. This one might be 20%. First one might be 35. I don't know. I don't know if they set that or what. I'm pretty sure it's just a flat modifier, but who knows? First, he did the steam eruption there, so we get some free hits off. Really just trying to build gauge here, so I'm not even charging. All right, here comes the scream. Tackle way too early on that dodge. Not sure why I did that so quickly. I don't know if my cat popping into the ground threw me off, but he's going back to the underground again. Because it does a lot of damage. That's the thing. If you're taking a lot of hits, it's going to be a much harder hunt. But as long as you're mitigating how much you actually take damage, it should be fine. Again, I only lost 2 acorns on the first hunt. But that makes sense because I had more chances to focus here. All right, here comes the tackle. We have lost all of our buffs, so that's not great. We're going to do less damage, all the fun stuff. I'm going to try to let him come to us and not get too close to him. And I'll try to be quiet here and show how the hunt really goes whenever you're focusing. That's why you guard there, just in case he does hit you, it doesn't do as much damage. There's that charged Horn Slam. He does not do that very often. It's very similar to Tigrex's charge into the sweep. You don't see it, but it will catch you off guard. This might finish it, maybe? Yeah, there we go. Okay, good. Again, not terribly difficult. When you lock in and actually focus on what you're doing, it's a very fun hunt. You're going back and forth, you're waiting for him to cool down, and you're also just trying to see what little extra things you can get in while he is doing his attacks, because they are somewhat predictable. Even though he can combo link some different stuff that might throw you off a bit, once you learn what he can link into, you'll know what position you're safe in and what position you'll have to wait and see if he does a combo or something like that, which is very nice. Again, very fun hunt. Not too terribly long, a little bit longer than what I had to do in the test hunt, but still not terrible. It's not like it's a 50-minute hunt. Either way, finish carving him up, including his horn, and I'll meet you back at base. All right, we're back at base. The weapon is actually something you may want to make. The F Bloodbath Hammer. 228 melee, 228 boomerang, if I can speak, and I believe different varying amounts of negative affinity. I mean, actually go ahead and look and see, because this is one of the better raw weapons you can make. Go ahead and take off critical up large, that way we can see what it actually is without having to play a guessing game and being wrong. Alright, so negative 15% on the melee side and negative 20% on the boomerang side. So not great, but white sharpness and very high raw for what your other options are is pretty nice. You also get a bonus plus 20 defense, which isn't going to mean much, but it is just a nice thing, I guess. There are other raw weapons that you might rather have over this. The Silverwind Star, which is okay. It's better in crit, obviously, and it does have purple sharpness, though no element to actually take advantage of the purple sharpness. This weapon is another one you might want to make. You need some heavy handsome scraps, which I have no idea how you get that. I'd have to look it up. But 195 melee, 195 boomerang, and 25% affinity. So a bit less raw, obviously, but you have much more affinity. That's like 45% more affinity compared to the Bloodbath Hammer on the boomerang side. Another one would be the Musketeer Espada. Needs some more random scraps, but these are probably easier to figure out how you get them. The 205 melee attack and 205 boomerang attack, same thing. High raw, a little bit less obviously than the Bloodbath Hammer, but still has white sharpness and has 10% affinity. So really, it's up to you. You get an extra 10%, or sorry, 10 raw compared to the Gold Caliber X. But if you're using crit boost, you probably would rather have this. However, if you're just using regular raw skills, you'll either use this one or the Bloodbath Hammer. As for the armor, it's really nice. 166 defense with 8 fire resistance, 1 thunder resistance, and 1 dragon resistance, and -6 water and -4 ice resistance. Obviously, it's one of the best armors raw defense wise, and if you're fighting fire monsters, it's a great choice. But if you're wanting to fight other monsters with better resistances, you can do better than that. However, this is not bad, especially considering Bloodbath is a fun fight. So if you want to get all the way up to G5 or even G4, I think you can get the perfect scraps on. Go ahead and make this. It's just a really nice, decent all the way around armor. Either way, there is the final deviant. Now, I've said this before, but I'll actually go over it. Once you complete a G5 of a deviant, you have the EX Hunt. This monster is larger, has larger hitboxes, absurd damage multipliers, and absurd health multipliers as well. And I think just regular defense multipliers for how late you are in G rank. The only real things you get from this are the ability to transmog deviant armor. You also get a special pigment for the deviants, which I don't think I've actually gone over, but we'll talk about that later. And a certain achievement crown. Once you complete your first one, you'll get a small one above your head, and the more you do, the bigger the crown gets, until you get a really nice fancy gold one once you complete all of them. So really, it's only for bragging rights and cosmetics, but it is a nice thing to have, especially if you're just going to complete them. These are certainly not as bad as the G5 hunts because you're not having to fight 3 monsters, so they're not going to take as long. It's just really a test on how well you actually know the monster, so you don't cart 3 times before you actually beat it. As for what we'll be doing next, I'll be going ahead and going over the G rank Elder Dragons, the special ones of course as well, since one of them has a thunder weapon that we have yet to get. But I did want to see if we could complete these without that, and we could. I'll also probably do the EX hunts on my own time and just upload them without commentary, as they do require some focus. I'm sure I could commentate over them, but they're really just the same monster with larger projectiles and whatnot. Either way, hope you enjoyed. If you did, please consider leaving a comment below and maybe even consider subscribing. Until next time, bye. Bye.